Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. I'm Antonio Padilla. Welcome back to Nerds of the Roundtable. With me, as always, my boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the champ, the red dog, Cliff. Don't call him Robot Man Miller. Say what up, Cliff.
What up, what up?
There he is. Gave him a special intro for today because this is a special episode. For those of you who are watching this, you can tell, like, yeah, it's very special. For those of you who are listening to this, let me tell you something. We launched a video podcast. Finally. That was the big surprise that I was teeing up in the last episode. This is something we've been trying to get. We've been trying to get this to happen for a long time, and it's just taken us a while. But hey, here we are. And you can
Technology.
Yes. And you can finally see us now. You can see myself, you can see Cliff, and hopefully we'll start getting guests on here, and you'll be able to see them as well. And matter of fact, Cliff, someone has already agreed to be a guest on our video podcast. So
I can't wait.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be fun. But yeah, so welcome to the new show, the new format. We're super excited. I hope you guys are as well. So, Cliff, why don't you tell people, because you were not on the last episode of the audio podcast, so why don't you let everybody out there know why you weren't here? Because it's pretty exciting. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. But go ahead and tell them what's going on.
Yeah, so as most of you guys know, like we talk about on the audio version. If you haven't, just check out the last couple of podcasts. We've talked about it a couple times. But I actually made my pro wrestling debut for C3W live. So if you go to their YouTube channel, C3W Live, it's there. It's part of their anniversary show. I'm mad excited. Got to wrestle one of my good friends, Big Trouble Ben Bishop. He's a 7-footer. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. And I'm not going to tell you guys who won, but yeah, go check it out. It was a lot of fun. And we had a lot of great matches on there. Particularly, there was one between my friends Dorian, Miles Millennium, and Hyena Hex. And so they all had this great tear the house down match. It was so much fun to watch. And then my trainer, Sicken, wrestled Ron Holiday on there. So you get to see a lot of matches, a lot of great talent. So yeah, guys, go give it a watch.
Awesome. Yeah. Definitely go give it a watch because I haven't seen it just yet, but I'm going to. Don't worry about it, Cliff. I'm going to. I gotta find out who won. Gotta find out who won that match. My money's on my boy, but I mean, I might be biased there. So, but yeah, so it's very exciting, man. Very exciting. Like I said, very proud of you, man. I know it's been your dream, and I've always been super proud of you chasing that dream, man. So,
man,
proud of you.
To think that, I mean, I know it's been like a long time because we actually we backyard wrestled, man, forever ago, like 2001, 2002, somewhere in there, and then like
90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, and then we kind of faded off, and then like I went through in college and the military.
Killed somebody, we kind of had to take it easy on that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the part of like backyard wrestling where people get like a lot of bad rep because it's like you're dangerous, you're not trained, and it's true. I mean, I definitely agree. But I was excited, man, and this dream is yeah, man, things are starting to come together. I have a couple other shows. I got a match coming up August 8th at SWCA, so I'm excited for that. Yeah, man, it's just there's so much going on, man. I'm excited.
I'm excited for you, man. I really am.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. I know, like you've been like my number one fan, man. So it's been exciting to like have you in my corner and just kind of cheering me on, especially like with all the stuff that's going on in the YouTube channel, man. Like,
yeah, for sure, man. Like I said, I watch all the time. I try to get other people to watch as well. So, like I said, I support the people closest to me. So, all right, man. That's real cool, man. We'll definitely keep people updated on that for sure. It's very cool. Yeah, and like Cliff said, go check it all out, man. It's cool stuff, real cool. And a previous guest on the show, Chaz, also out there doing his thing. So go support him as well. All right, let's get into it, Cliff, because we got some news to talk about. I mean, that's what we do here, right?
That's what we do.
Talk about the news. We're gonna start off with some not so great news. We had some passings over the last 2 weeks. We're going to start first with Sir Ian Holm. Passed away on Friday, June 19th. That's my birthday, so that sucks. for multiple reasons. But mostly because, this man, prolific actor. He's been in this man has over 200 credits on his resume. Over 200 credits. Yeah.
That's wild.
Prolific. Man has been doing his thing. Most people probably recognize him from Lord of the Rings, where he was Bilbo Baggins. Of course, I always remember him from Alien, where he played Ash. Amongst many other things, he was in From Hell with Johnny Depp. Trying to list all this man's credits would be a disservice to him, and we do not have the time to get through all of them. But it's safe to assume he's been in something that we all love, and he's been, he's just been the linchpin, So it's sad for him to go. He was 88 years old, passed away from complications due to Parkinson's. So that's pretty rough. But unfortunately, that Sir Ian Holm passed away Friday, June 19th, 2020. Cliff, I don't know. Do you have anything to say about Ian Holm?
I mean, it's sad. I mean, anytime you lose a life, especially for someone who had such an iconic role, especially with Lord of the Rings, like you mentioned, and especially from Hell with Johnny Depp. But anytime that you lose somebody that's like, it's kind of major, it just, I don't know, it kind of hits differently, because you're just like, well, I'm not going to see this guy no more, and that kind of sucks.
It does. It really does. It's, because like I said, a lot of his movies, or a lot of the movies he was in that I saw, stuff I grew up with, and it's like, it sucks getting old, right, Cliff? It feels like watching your childhood just slowly slip away from you, and that sucks big time. Especially this next one, who we had, like I said, we had another passing. Whoa, this one again, it just feels like your childhood slipping away. Joel Schumacher passed away at age 80 on June 22nd. And Joel Schumacher, I talked about it on social media. I was like, look, I know he infamously directed Batman and Robin. I think we all agree that's a terrible movie. But this man directed so many of my favorite movies that, like, I don't even care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even care that he did Batman and Robin. This man directed The Lost Boys, for crying out loud. That's easily top 10 movies of all time. Of all time. You know what I mean? So yeah, he was 80 years old. I guess he was battling cancer over the last year or so, and nobody knew. So that also makes it pretty rough, because I've lost a lot of family members and loved ones to cancer, and it's never easy. It's never easy.
No, it's not.
It really isn't. But yeah, Joel Schumacher, talented guy, very talented. And if you doubt that, go through his filmography and look at the films he's directed. Man, this guy did everything from Flatliners to A Time to Kill to The Number 23, which I recently rewatched in honor of the man. And whoo, you know what I'm talking about, Cliff.
I do, actually. It was funny because you mentioned that. I was just like, yeah, I remember that Jim Carrey, man. Like, he got a good performance out of Jim Carrey in that movie, and people know Jim Carrey for like the funny, flashy, slapstick comedy kind of stuff. But yeah, that movie, man, I remember I was like, damn, I was like mad crazy.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, I kind of had a little mini Schumacher marathon in his honor. I watched The Lost Boys. I watched The Number 23. I watched Batman Forever, because I think you and I agree Batman Forever is much better than people say it is.
Yeah,
it gets.
I'll never understand like why people shit on that movie so much. Like,
me neither.
Some people will say like that Tommy Lee Jones was like overacting as Two-Face, but low key like that's Two-Face. I thought Jim Carrey was a great Enigma, and I thought Joel Schumacher did a great job for like kind of piecing like this futuristic kind of world of like Batman. There was so much stuff I loved about that movie that I was like, y'all just finding reasons to nitpick. Joel Schumacher did a great job with it. It was very bright and visual, which I think maybe that's probably what people like really didn't like about it. But I think at the end of the day, man, like all the characters, everybody worked well together. I loved even Drew Barrymore in the movie. You know what I mean? I'm not saying anything against her. I'm just, seeing her as Sugar was definitely fun. So I was like,
I
I
think
thought they
that
did a great
that
job.
was the first time I ever saw Drew Barrymore, and I was like, oh, I'm in love. But I mean, I was 8 years old when that movie came out.
Right.
So. But yeah, man, I agree with everything you're saying. We're gonna. You know what, Cliff? I think we should do that episode of Unapologetic about Batman Forever.
Oh yeah, we need to.
Memory. For sure, we're definitely gonna do that. But yeah, so Joel Schumacher passed away, 80 years old. He will be missed. Very, very talented man. Very sweet man from everything I've heard. Everybody who has worked with him or even just met him says he was like the nicest guy in the world. And I believe it, So rest in peace, Joel Schumacher. You will be missed. Very talented.
We forgot to mention that he did Phantom of the Opera, and that movie fucking ruled.
Yeah. Phantom of the Opera, man, with Gerard Butler.
Right?
Yeah. That movie's great, man. Oh, I'm gonna have to rewatch that one now. Thanks for that's a recommendation right there. But yeah, man,
that movie too.
Emily
Emily
Rossum,
Rossum was amazing. God, man,
she played the remember the doll? Like she actually played that. Like that wasn't an actual doll. Like they actually put her in like wax makeup to make her look like a doll.
Oh wow,
that's crazy.
That is crazy.
That's commitment to the role right there. But yeah, man, that again, it just goes to show you, Joel Schumacher, visionary director. Oh man. All right, so rest in peace, Ian Holm, Joel Schumacher. All right, let's get into it, Cliff, because we got a couple trailers to talk about.
Yes, we do.
But let's start with we had a new trailer for The King's Man and a new release date, September 18th, and I'm still upset about that because we should have had this movie already. It was originally supposed to come out in February. I should have this movie on Blu-ray right now. You understand what I'm saying? That's how upset I am. But Disney had to mess around with the release date. But I think we've covered this already, so I'm not going to go on a rant here. But so we got a new trailer, and again, movie looks amazing. Super excited. We found out that Aaron Taylor Johnson's character is actually Rasputin, which is crazy. So that's pretty cool.
I'm all about that. I'm so all about that.
Me too, man. I love he's almost unrecognizable in the movie.
I'm just like, yo, it's Rasputin though, man. Like, you talking about like one of the worst people in Russia, and he's like, I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm all about this life.
I'm into it, man. Yeah, I can't wait to see this movie, man. All right, so Cliff, what'd you think of this trailer? You got any standout moments?
No, you know what? It's just like, I guess with just like any other moment, just like great fight scenes that are kind of put together. You had to see stuff with Digimon in there. I like just the interactions between like all the characters. So it's really, it's a Kingsman trailer, and of course every trailer with them, they always like, they don't tell you a lot, but they give you just enough to be like, I have to really watch this movie. But so yeah, I'm genuinely excited for it.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, me too. A lot of great points there. It is a very Kingsman trailer. It really is. But that's why I'm excited. I love those movies. I really do. Did you ever watch the first two yet, Cliff?
No, I'm still like in the process of like getting to watch those. I'm not gonna lie, it's funny though, man, because like we talk about this, and like every time that DC Universe releases a new episode, new movie for like the DC movies, like I watch them. Like it's so bad. Like I know, like I have this queue of like movies that's like long, and then like every time I see like DC puts out another movie, I'm like, oh, to the top of the list you go, and I'll watch you.
Oh man, that's my boy.
Terrible at
it. But yeah, man, you're definitely gonna have to get caught up. Although I mean, this is a prequel, so you can probably watch this one. No big deal. But yeah, September 18th, 2020. The King's Man. I can't wait. Hopefully we'll actually get to see it. Because real quick, I just want to mention, you saw Tenet got delayed again, right?
Yeah, we got pushed back right from July 31st.
Well, yeah, because it originally was July 14th, 17th, something like that.
14th.
Got pushed back to July 31st, and now it's August, I don't know, 14th or something like that.
Well, to be fair, I mean, with the whole coronavirus, and especially with like the state of Texas going back into lockdown, like I mean, Texas is a huge market, and if San Antonio locks down, then you like, all right, this is for real. We got to really push this back, especially with stuff going on in Florida. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
you can pick out the key states, and you're just like, wow, bro, like that's crazy.
For sure. And when I say like, are we gonna? At this point, man, I'm like, just delay everything to 2021. Like
Yeah.
at this point, I'm over it, man. Just cancel 2020 altogether. That's where I'm at right now.
Yep, that needs to happen. It's the thing. At
But
least in the
yeah,
United States, everybody else can have like
yeah,
everybody
everyone
else in the
was
world that's
fine.
like, yeah, it's weird, man. Like, I know this is going off subject, right? But everywhere in the world, like I was looking at the report and there's like coronavirus like started here and everybody else was here and the US was like here and then we were like up. And it's like, what is wrong with us? They're like, yeah, we use coronavirus as a political stance. I'm like, it's very US.
Stupid.
It's very America.
It really is. Oh man. But yeah, so hey man, I agree with you. It's very this is the world we live in.
It is. It is.
But all right, so let's talk about this second trailer, Cliff, because it's something that I think everybody's excited for, even haters at this point. We finally, we got a first look at Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's a 35-second clip, but oh my God, did it. Let me tell you something, Cliff. I woke up that morning, and it was the first thing I saw. And I like jumped out of my bed, ran around my house screaming at everybody, like, you gotta check this out. I was so excited, man. What did you think of this clip, Clifford?
I'm gonna be honest, I missed it. So
You did?
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah.
Yeah. You can pull it up and watch it now?
You know what, low-key, I'm actually checking it out right now.
Check it out. We'll do this. Check it out.
Because actually, I just see Gal Gadot is actually showing off Apocalypse. Or no, I'm sorry, Darkseid right now. So I'm excited seeing everything kind of play out. I do. Okay, as we're watching this, legitimately, it's like the minute 43 Zack Snyder teaser trailer, just to kind of give everybody a heads up. I do love seeing Darkseid with all the explosions around. I know I haven't talked about it yet, so here's my take on this, right, as we're talking about this. I literally paused the trailer because I'm like, yo, this is the most badass fucking scene I've ever seen somebody have. By the way, guys, in case you didn't know, when I get excited about stuff, I will start cursing. It's a thing. I'm sorry. But yeah, like, you saw, like, the huge flames, like, coming out from behind him, and I was like, oh, get it!
That was exactly my reaction, bro.
I freaked out, man. I was like, this is so cool. I'm so hyped about whatever's going to happen next. But
I know, man.
Of course, then they're talking about the fans and stuff that are going to be attached to it. So, but yeah, I thought that was just that small snip, man. I'm just like, bro, I need all of this. All of this has to happen.
I need it right now. Just inject it right into my veins. I can't wait. Man. Yeah, still no official release date on this movie, but we know it's coming early to mid 2021. Hopefully early, because I can't wait, man. We've been waiting 3 years to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. So,
who's not waiting for Zack Snyder? That comedian who messed up didn't know Zack Snyder was in the crowd.
I love that, man. I love that so much. For those of you who don't know, there was a comedian doing a show. I posted it on my Instagram, so if you're following me on Instagram, go check it out. So a stand-up comedian was doing crowd work at a show, and he called on someone. He's like, "What's your name?" And the person in the crowd said Zack. And immediately, because I recognized Zack's voice, but immediately I was like, no way. Like, no way. And then, like, it goes on and on and on. It's like Zack Snyder. It turned out it was Zack Snyder, and the guy doing the show had no idea. To the point when he asked people to pull up IMDb.
when he goes, he said, he was like, how many Zacks do you know that film movies? He's like, Zack Snyder. He's like, that's me. He's like,
exactly.
Wait, what?
What Zack movie directors have you ever heard of?
Zack Snyder?
Not me.
What? Someone pull up IMDb right now. Let me know how big I just fucked up.
His reaction, he was just like, what? Like, he was like, now.
I loved how he was like, "Yo, we need a Robin movie, right, Zach? Zach.
I could be Robin. Zack. That was great. It was great. I might post it on the Nerds Facebook page just so everybody can see it. But it's great, man. You're right. Great way to bring that around.
But to go back to Justice League, right? Like we've all talked about how much we've been wanting to see this movie, and now that we're getting like little snippets of it and stuff that was actually supposed to be attached to it, I think the hype is like getting more real because I just talking about Darkseid being in the movie, like my skin is like I have goosebumps like just thinking about how badass it looked, and you're talking about a character that the movie should have been around in the first place, right?
Yeah.
We watched the movie get chopped and screwed up so bad that we're like, bro, I don't even know what you're doing. Like, this is fucking terrible. And then we found out why, because obviously WB lost faith in something that they shouldn't have. It would be weird, man. Like, would you imagine if Disney had lost faith in Kevin Feige in the middle of like filming like
in the middle
of the movies?
Yeah.
Right at the Avengers, they're like, hey man, we don't know what you're doing, so we're just gonna stop.
Out. We're gonna have someone else come in, Frankenstein this movie.
We're gonna bring in Tim Burton.
Oh man, that would have messed that movie up.
Yeah.
Like no shade on Tim Burton, but like the one person who would not understand those characters. Oh, wow.
Well, and to credit Warner Brothers, they did get Joss Whedon, but it was just like, like it's two different sides of telling a comic book story. Like Zack Snyder was very dark. Joss is known for being very like light and like visual, and then like and comical. And so you see that side flip, and I'm like, bro, that's terrible.
And that's what I mean by like that movie got Frankenstein. Like you literally had two completely separate movies that you mashed together from two different filmmakers, and that's why that movie doesn't work. So yeah, man, I'm super excited to see Zack's version of the movie. I think we all are.
Facts.
Yeah, I'm with you, Cliff. I'm with you. And not just Darkseid. I'm going to remind everybody out there. We have since found out that Martian Manhunter was supposed to be in the movie. Ryan Choi, the Atom, was supposed to be in this movie. The Green Lantern, which I have a story about that later on in the show. I was going to put it here, but I was like, no, we'll talk about that later with this week's biggest news. Who else? A bunch of characters, like obviously Darkseid, and a bunch of the new gods from Apocalypse. So, yo, man, I'm just excited to see what Zack's original vision and plan was. So, super excited.
I'm going to also put in here, it's so awesome when you go to IMDb and you type in Justice League and it says Justice League and then you have Zack Snyder's Justice League above. Like, yo, Warner Brothers fucked up so badly.
That's how you know it's a completely different movie when it gets its own page. Because normally, like, director's cuts and extended cuts don't get their own page on IMDb. If the movie is that vastly different from a previously existing version, it gets its own page. So, just saying, for all you Snyder Cut deniers that are, for some reason, still out there, believe me, I've run into a few of them over the last couple weeks, and it's infuriating. But, yeah, that's that. We got some trailers. That's what me and Cliff do. We go on these little rants, but hey, that's what you tune in for, right? Right, folks?
That's what you do. Yep. That's why you want this channel.
That's why, exactly. That's why you listen to us. That's why you're watching us right now. Hey, I see you. All right, so let's talk about some other sort of unexpected news, if I'm being completely honest. And I don't think Cliff is quite so happy about this, but let's talk about it anyways. So it was announced yesterday, Cliff? Or was it Friday?
Friday.
Let me check. I've got the article right here. June 26th. Yeah, so that would have been Friday. Okay, so it was announced on Friday. There's a new Pirates of the Caribbean movie coming out. And I know you're all thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Like, yeah, we already knew that. Well, this is a different movie altogether, apparently, from what I've been reading. So Margot Robbie is going to get her own Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Written by Christina Hodson. Yes, that Christina Hodson, who we've spoken about on this show many, many times before. Writer of Bumblebee, Birds of Prey, the Batgirl movie, and The Flash. Again, we'll talk about that later. So she's writing a new Pirates movie. Margot Robbie's going to star in it. And this is apparently a completely separate movie from the already announced reboot of the franchise. I don't know what that actually means. Sounds to me like they're trying to start their own Pirates shared universe. Is that the impression you were getting, Cliff? Because that's how I interpreted this.
To be honest, when they announced that Margot Robbie was going to be in the movie, I let me caveat this. I like Margot, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not excited for another Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Just in general, I'm just not excited.
Yo, man, I hear you, but like, let's talk about it, because I've got feelings about this, and clearly you do. But like, I'm of the mind, like, when they announced they were going to reboot Pirates, I was like, sure, fine, whatever, that franchise. I feel like that franchise ran its course already, you know? And no disrespect to anybody who was involved with those movies, no disrespect to Johnny Depp, because obviously he was great. But I don't know, man, like, towards the end there, you could tell they were running out of ideas, you know? Like, they had run out of steam, to the point where, spoiler alert for anyone who didn't see the last one, it's like, hey, here's Will's son. It's cool. Played by Brenton Thwaites, Dick Grayson on Titans. But yeah, man, it just felt like that they just ran out of steam there. And so when they were like, we're gonna reboot it, I was like, cool, you know, that's fine. However, when I heard about this movie, I did get a little excited. I'm not gonna lie, just because, you know, I like Margot. I really love Christina Hodson as a writer. You know, I've talked about everything she's written that I've seen so far, and I'm like, I really like what she does. So, and clearly, you know, she keeps getting work at all these major studios. So, you know, she's doing something right. I don't know.
Right.
So I'm willing to give this one a chance. You know, I'm going to wait until we see a trailer, because it was just announced. They haven't started shooting yet. So it's going to be a while until we actually see anything. And clearly, you know, with everything going on in the world, who knows when that's going to be. But no, I'm going to be honest, like, it did move the needle for me just a little bit, you know, whereas the previously announced reboot, I was like, whatever. So, I don't know. What about you?
I guess the idea of like a shared universe would be kind of cool if Johnny Depp gets to come back and play like one more run. You know, but that's what we're looking for, because they kind of reset the whole universe. So I was like, this is what I'm looking for. I'm kind of excited about this. And then it's just the movie series just ended, and I was like, what the hell? Like, I want to see that. Like, I want to see what happens now that, you know, now that we have our guys coming back, like, right? Because we know that the spell was broken, right? So Will could actually be on land. It wasn't even a day thing. He was there all night with Elizabeth, right? And then we saw what we saw, and then like ended. And I was like, yo, that's a great thing, because now we reset everything. You know, the Dutchman has his captain back, so let's run it. But no. It was just like, oh, we don't have anything for you. I was like, bro, you have the stories right there. Now we're going to reboot the whole entire series? Come on, man. That's crazy. Let Johnny run it one more time. But if they're going to do it with the women's side, and we'll get Margot Robbie eventually crossing paths with Jack Sparrow, I'm all about it. Because I think that's what's going to be needed. And we could run a shared universe and an alternate reality, too, with the new Pirate series. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Maybe it'll move the needle. But at this point in time, meh.
That's fair. That's fair. You know, like I said, like, it barely moved the needle for me, but yeah. No, I hear where you're coming from, Cliff. I really do. It's hard to argue with that too, because I kind of forgot that, like, they did set up. Spoiler alert: they set up the return of Davy Jones. Who
Thank you.
I loved Davy Jones. So, yeah, man. Yeah, I am a little disappointed. Yeah, now that you mention it. But yeah, so that's happening. No director or release date, obviously. But yeah, so we will keep you updated on that as we get more details. All right, let's go. Let's do this, Cliff, because we got some news this week that set the world on fire in a good way. I don't even know if we should even tee this up because I don't know anybody who didn't hear about this news. It was so huge. It was everywhere. It was everywhere online. It was all over TV. People were talking about it everywhere. So let's get into it, man. Michael Keaton. That's all I got to say. Let's be honest. So it's being reported that Michael Keaton might be returning to the role of Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, in the Flash movie. So I'm not gonna lie, man, I got pretty hyped when I saw this story break. What about you, Cliff?
Oh, I thought it was amazing that Vulture decided that he wanted to be Batman. I'm glad that they did that. I mean, I feel like Michael Keaton will be a really good Batman. I don't have any previous knowledge of any other Batman movies that may have came out, especially with Tim Burton directing them. But I definitely think I'm excited. Like I'm excited that Michael Keaton decided that he wanted to try this on for the first time. I wish him the best. I really wish him the best, man.
No, I'm sorry, I forgot.
Yeah, I think they should give this Keaton guy a chance.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
he might be a pretty good Batman. You know what I mean?
Hashtag give Keaton a chance. I like that.
Yeah, I like
Hashtag
it.
Keaton for Batman.
What the are you talking about? It is confusing.
Oh man. So all right, I'm sorry, that was great, Cliff. So let's talk about this clip. Let's talk about what this possibly means, because I know you saw some of the posts I made on social media where I called into question whether or not, because we've been hearing for however long that this movie is supposed to be Flashpoint, but this feels more like it's Crisis, right, Cliff?
To be fair, right? It's great that we're having a return to Crisis, because it would make sense because we saw the tease in Crisis on Infinite Earths on the first episode where there was Batman in a newspaper. So to see Michael Keaton to come back and possibly do a Crisis movie, I'm kind of upset. I like it, but I don't, because I did want to see Flashpoint. But if I'm not going to get it, I will take Crisis as well.
Right. And like, yeah, I'm with you on that, on all of those points. Like, because they've been teeing up Flashpoint for however long now, and I was really excited to see where that was going to go. And then this news came out, and I'm like, that sounds more like Crisis than anything else. But I mean, at this point, I'll take it. Especially if we're going to get Michael Keaton, because like you said, he was teased in Crisis on Infinite Earths on TV, and I think you jumped right over the important part. Like, we saw Ezra's Flash there, and apparently that was the point. Like, Jim Lee, who's in charge of the DC Films division now, is the one who made that happen for the purposes of this movie, apparently. Like, that's part of the news that came out after all this was announced. So that was done purposefully, and again, that's also why Barry, he mentions Victor Stone, Cyborg, because apparently he's also going to be in this movie. Also confirmed, although that didn't get as big a news story as this one did. But yeah, so I'm super excited, and apparently, like, from everything I'm hearing, Michael Keaton's not just coming back for this movie. They're trying to get him a multi-picture deal, right? Like, I don't know how this is going to happen. I haven't seen the movie, haven't read the script. I don't know. But from what I'm gathering, he's going to come from his Earth over to the Earth that these movies are set on and stay here. And he's going to be our in-universe Batman, which I'm cool with, since, Ben has sort of moved on and we need a Batman. So why not bring back someone that will get fans excited? And I like the idea. And like I said, I've been saying this, like, when we were talking about, like, Titans or even, like, Kevin Conroy on Crisis, where it's like DC seems to really like this idea of, like, old man Bruce Wayne. And so do I. Those have been some of my favorite stories. Dark Knight Returns and Batman Beyond. I bring that up on purpose because I'm hearing because Cliff, Michael Keaton, Bruce Wayne, we're one step closer to that Batman Beyond movie now.
Yeah.
And apparently that's what I've been hearing. Like, they want him to do, it's not going to be Batman Beyond the way we're all expecting it to be. It's not going to be Terry McGinnis. he's going to be training Batgirl to take his place, which I'm cool with, because we know Christina Hodson wrote The Flash, and she wrote that Batgirl script. It would make sense that she would have seeded these things throughout both of those scripts. So, but I'm just speculating at this point based on things I've heard. What do you think, Cliff?
Can I get Will to come back and be
Riddell?
Terry? Yeah, I want Will. I mean, I know he's older, obviously, and he's not going to be like the great teenager.
He still looks pretty young for his age,
He
though.
still looks young. Yeah, I definitely want to see him come back and play. Yeah, I want him to come back and play Terry, because I would definitely love that as a Batman Beyond character. And obviously, like, I mean, he was the voice of Batman Beyond, so I definitely think it makes sense. But then, it could be that we could see another character that we just never, another person to play. We never saw it coming, and then he just murders the role. So I don't know, man. I have high hopes. I would like to see. I love the idea that Michael Keaton could be coming back, and then you have old man Batman, because then it'll show like a contrast. Like, Batman's old, he's experienced, he's also a lot. He's been through a lot, so he can talk guys through certain scenarios, and then you can have the new dynamic friendship between Batman and Superman, as he like tries to guide Superman through like all the troubles that are going to be happening.
Yeah, I agree. I'm really excited about this if it ends up happening. The story broke and everybody was running it like, oh, it's confirmed he's doing it. We don't have that confirmed just yet. We know they're talking about it. It might happen. Fingers crossed. But if it does, yeah, I'm on board, man. I can't imagine a world where I would not be on board with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. I really hope it happens. Yeah, that's really all I got to say. I don't know. Anything else you want to say about this, Cliff?
No, I'm glad that Warner Brothers is given a young start, a young up and comer like Keaton.
Young, unheard of actor. Yeah.
Yeah. Multiplicity was awesome. I don't care what anybody says.
Oh, I love Multiplicity, bro. Let's talk about that movie. I love it. So underrated. Oh my god, I love that movie so much.
It's like, I don't even know what that movie is. I forget that we have young fans too. Like, that Multiplicity came out before they were born. So I'm like, yeah, guys, if you haven't seen a Michael Keaton movie, there's a few of them.
Yeah, check that movie out if you want to see his range, because he plays like 4 different characters in that movie.
Yo, I loved this one where he was like, all right, this is what I like to do when I do with sandwiches. TTF, tuck, tuck, fold.
I forgot about that.
That's the best, man. That's the best line.
Oh, God, I love it. That's such a good movie, man. I'm going to have to watch. I think it's on Amazon Prime right now. So I'm definitely going to watch that tonight.
Right.
All right. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, I almost forgot until I looked at my notes right now, Cliff. So Michael Keaton may be returning. I brought up Green Lantern earlier. Did you hear this rumor, Cliff, about Green Lantern?
No.
All right, cool. I want to get your honest reaction here. So I've heard from multiple places online, and I checked where this story originated from, and it comes from a source that has a hit or miss reputation with the truth. So I'm approaching this very cautiously, and I suggest everybody out there do the same. But the story is that since we know Green Lantern is supposed to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League, apparently Ryan Reynolds might be coming back to play Green Lantern. Now, again, I don't know how true this is, but based on everything I've heard, with Disney not committing to a Deadpool 3, again, we didn't even talk about that on the show. Like, Rob Liefeld went on a Twitter rant a couple weeks ago. I don't know if you saw it, Cliff, where he just blasted Disney because he's been trying to get news and updates on whether or not Deadpool 3 is happening, and they told him they have no interest in it at this point. So he just went off on them. So we know Ryan's not tied up with Deadpool 3 right now. And I mean, we know Green Lantern was supposed to be in Zack Snyder's Justice League. And if they're doing what it looks like they're doing, which is kind of what Crisis on Infinite Earths did on TV, where they're just like, screw it, claim everything. Claim everything that came before. It's all canon. It all happened. Why wouldn't you bring Ryan Reynolds back? You know, hopefully not in a poorly rendered CGI suit. this time, although I doubt Zack would do that. But that's the rumor going around. Again, I don't know how true it is or how real it is. I've checked all my sources, and like I said, it comes from someone who's got a spotty reputation with reporting facts, but we'll see. But Cliff, if this is true, how do you feel about that?
I think I don't know. Maybe I'm alone on this one. Maybe I'm alone on this one. I don't believe so. I think DC did a disservice, right? Because we know that Idris Elba is going to be in the Suicide Squad. I think Idris Elba would have been perfect as Jon Stewart, and I think that's where I think any kind of Green Lantern should have came out, and it should have been Idris playing, especially now because like he's obviously a little older. He has like the gray on the sides and stuff. It's perfect. He's just dead on, and unfortunately, I mean, if we get Ryan Reynolds back, I'm not gonna hate it, right? But I'm gonna need something from Deadpool 3.
I think we've mentioned on this show before, like you and I don't actually hate that movie.
We don't.
Right? We don't hate it. I mean, I understand why people didn't like it, but I like it.
I like it. I will openly say I like Green Lantern.
Yeah, we've talked about it on this show before. But no, man, if he comes back, if he is gonna come back and be the Green Lantern, the in-universe Green Lantern, yeah, I'm not upset.
I'm not mad. No, I think there's other people out there that you could definitely like throw out there and say like, hey, they'll be the Green Lantern. But yeah, definitely, I'm not upset about Ryan Reynolds playing Green Lantern. And to be honest, I would like to see. I know if you guys, for those who are watching not watching the video, Antonio has his Green Lantern ring on right now. I'm not upset.
It's funny you brought up like I bring up this story for a couple of reasons. Number one, because I wanted to get your reaction to it. Number two, because all right, look, it's never been confirmed, but I've heard Zack teased it himself, and an actor has also been teasing it as well. Like Zack apparently already had his Green Lantern, and I've seen a behind-the-scenes photo that shows someone in like a bomber jacket, the type Hal Jordan usually wears, and he's got his ring. And it seems like he already had his Green Lantern. So I don't know, again, I don't know, maybe that was some kind of fluke or whatever, and maybe there is some truth to this rumor or what's happening. I don't know. For those of you who don't know, the actor in question is someone named Sam Benjamin, an unknown, I'll give you that much. But he's been very active in the Release the Snyder Cut movement. He has a Vero account, and him and Zack interact pretty regularly on there. So it seemed like he was our Green Lantern, but then we get this story, and so I really don't know what to make of it. So, but that's why I bring it up, so we can have a discussion on it and keep people informed.
I mean, I'm not opposed to the idea of an unknown coming through and playing. Especially if it puts him on the path to stardom. I'm definitely not upset with it. And you're right, like I'm actually looking through his IMDb right now, and I don't recognize anything except for that fact that he was in the Justice League movie as a military police officer too, uncredited. So yeah. And I'll be honest, I could watch the movie and I would be like, I don't know which cop that's cop number 2. So
just, like, you said that right now, and I was like, were there military police in that movie?
Like,
definitely the theatrical cut. I don't know.
I don't remember seeing them, and they probably cut him out for a reason.
Yeah, probably. But so yeah, I don't.
Shut up.
Put this on. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on, but we'll find out. We are definitely going to find out one way or another come 2021. So we'll see.
Right.
All right, Clifford. Let's talk some TV, because boy, do we have a lot of TV to talk about this week.
Bro, do we? Hey, actually, one thing I wanted to talk before we jump into it. There was a certain trailer you mentioned on the last episode. I didn't get a chance to talk about it. I'm so hyped for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Oh my god, we didn't even talk about Bill and Ted. I'm so hyped. I love everything that was coming out in the trailer.
And did you hear they got their release date pushed up a week?
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. I watched a bunch of my friends, and they all just were like, and they was like, I just saw that Bill and Ted's trailer. No thanks. And I was like, bro, you don't understand. All the funding for the movie came from fans, so it tells you like how much of a want there was for the movie, and they used that money to film it. So I was like, yeah, I'm just hyped. And then to see like everything play out, like where it starts off, and they're like, you played in front of 200,000 people. Last week you played in front of 40, and most of them were there for free nacho night. And I was like, yo,
Taco night.
I was dying, man. I was like, this is, and I wanted to talk about this trailer specifically because I know you got a chance, and you know, like I'm also hyped about it as well.
Yeah.
And
You and
see,
I are Bill and Ted fans, man. Like going all the way back. So
right, and see the return of Death. I was so happy to see Death back in his place. I know they said that Rufus was gonna be in there, like they have unused footage. I guess is what it seemed like.
is that what they're doing?
I mean, hey, to be honest, George Carlin is credited on IMDb on that movie, so it was like, okay.
Well, I guess we'll see.
It'd be so weird to see like George Carlin with new lines in a movie.
I hope they don't do that rogue bull crap. Like, although I doubt they do that. So yeah.
But I'm hyped seeing like just the idea, and I love that the end sequence when he's like, "What'd you guys think for a song?" He's like,
It's a little on the dark side, but that's cool.
"I love it, man. I'm so hyped about this movie."
Me too, man. I'm so excited. Yeah, man. I love Bill and Ted so much, man. Oh man, and I'm not gonna lie, man. I heard from Kevin Smith. He saw the movie already, and he said, he didn't spoil anything, but he said it's wonderful. He said they stuck the landing. Like, if anybody saw the trailer and thought like, I'm not really into it, he's like, trust me, they pulled it off. They did it. And I'm like, you know what, man? Sounds good to me, man. I was already gonna be there, opening night, hopefully. But I mean, that just makes me even more excited to see it. So
I'm
yeah.
so happy. I'm so happy.
Me too, man. Me too. Just I got this big smile on my face just talking about the trailer. That's how excited and happy I am.
All right, sorry I interrupted you. We were gonna talk about TV.
It's fine, man. Yeah. Bill and Ted. Can't wait to see it. Yeah, man. Let's talk about TV because we got a lot of TV to talk about, Cliff. Where do you want to start? Where do you want to start? Do you want to talk about Stargirl for a little bit? Because
let's do.
And I know you've got a story to tell.
Oh yeah.
So I'll let you tell your story, Cliff, because you already told me, but you tell the people who are listening and who are watching. Go ahead.
So for those who don't know, Antonio and I are from Nebraska, but we have all since then moved on to different places. So with Stargirl, episode 1 obviously starts in Los Angeles. You explained this in the previous episode. I know I'm just kind of rehashing at points. But they moved to Blue Valley, Nebraska, which, by the way, just for fun fact, you guys didn't know, it's not a real place. Okay? There's a Valley, Nebraska, and there's also a Blue Hill, Nebraska. There's also a Medicine Valley, Nebraska. There's no Blue Valley. Anyway, the crazy thing is when I watched this episode and I saw people like talking to each other, I was like, bro, I don't know anybody on the western part of Nebraska who talks like that. It's just like, hey guys, hi guys, how's it going? I was like, this doesn't happen. I was like, I can't buy into this show because y'all clearly have never been to Nebraska.
That's where the suspension of disbelief was broken.
It was. Everybody saying hi. But the crazy part was there's other parts of the movie that I was like, yo, that is actually, I feel like those are people. Like, I forget it. I know he was the guy who lifts. He owns the gym. And he was trying to get him into the gym. And I was like, there are people like that. And the Nebraska are like, are you tired of being a wimp? Get in here and let's get some muscles put on there. And I'm like, yeah. There's that guy.
For sure. Cliff and I knew a lot of them. So
yeah, it was like, God, dang meatheads. Like, I know you're there. I've seen you in the gym. It's so, like, the accuracy to the most of the part was really good, but I almost quit watching the show, like, right after the first episode. I just wasn't into it. I was like, this could be a great show. I was like, and I after the first episode, a lot of you guys probably, you guys know, like I'm very critical on shows, and so like when I saw the first episode, I was kind of like, you know what, maybe I'm just not into this. I'll keep trying. At least I'll watch the second episode and buy in. And sure enough, man, like the second episode really kind of pulled me in, and I started really like getting behind all the characters that they were developing at the time. Fun story, I will say this. On my other podcast, you guys know I do the 3 Count podcast. We had a guest. Her name is Ariella Nix. We just released her podcast this last week. She actually recorded all the episodes on DVR from the WB, and I told her, I was like, trash them all. I didn't even see the episodes on WB. I told her, trash them all. I was like, and watch it on DCU. I was like, it's gonna be so much better. There's more in-depth character. You dive into the characters a lot more. I was like, they cut out whole scenes just for time purposes. Like my boy did a review on them before I got to check them out, and I trust him. And I told her, I was like, trash all the episodes, and so she did. And so she hit me back and told me that she watched it on DCU, and she was like, this was such a better experience.
Awesome. Oh man, that's dope.
But yeah, so I guess what episode do you want to catch up to? Because I do want to talk. You did talk about on episode 3, Icicle does commit like the ultimate crime, and I was, oh man, I literally texted you, and I was like, fuck Icicle.
You did. That was literally the text. That's all it said.
That's all it said.
And I was like, oh, Chris is finally watching Stargirl.
Yeah. That's how you know.
Go ahead and talk whatever you want to talk about. Just go ahead, because like I said, we're 6 episodes into the season already. So just whatever you want to talk about, let's talk about it. And people out there who are watching, who are listening, we're gonna get into spoilers. So if you're not caught up, go get caught up. Come back. All right, Cliff, go for it.
Yeah, so I did like the fact that in episode 1, we did get to see Joe McHale. That was something that you had mentioned in the previous episode. So seeing him in the show was definitely a lot of fun, watching him kind of as a staff. He's like, do I take the staff? He's like, no, not you. Anyone else but you. I was like, that's disrespectful.
Definitely not. I know, me too. I was like, dude, I think he gets the point.
Yeah, he just kept hitting it. But credits to Joe McHale, man, because like he sold that part, and he was just like, yeah, man, no, like, and he kept beating it into Luke Wilson. That wasn't him. So I love that. Moving up, obviously episode 3 we talked about Icicle with the no return. I did like the tease though, where like Stargirl was in the snow, and like she's trying to figure out where the winter snow came from. That was pretty cool. Moving to episode 4, that's where it introduced Yolanda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she gets the Wildcat persona.
Yeah, I like the scene where she was crawling up the hill, and the new, god dang it, what's the girls with the goggles?
Beth.
Yeah, when Beth saw her climb up, and they're like, "I know your secret identities," and she low key was just like walking behind him as they're like openly. You know what? Like I've never understood like how come more people just don't like when you follow random people, like how come you're not aware of the situation, right? Like you're talking to somebody else. And like she just low key was just like walking behind him, not even just eavesdropping the conversation. And it was great because she was sounding with the AirPods. Like they thought I was very genius on Beth. Like I love that.
She's pretty smart. So
she's super smart. I love watching her do her thing.
I did love the episode where when she gets the goggles and she's like, "Hey, I want to join you guys." I love the part when they go to the party, right? And because they're looking for Rick.
Yeah.
But I love that part where you see Beth just in the background of the party, and like she's the only one having fun. She's back there like, woo! Like that made me laugh so hard. I was like, look, she's just having a good time, man. I can't be mad at her.
I love how she changed the name of the goggles. She just calls him Chuck.
Chuck, yeah.
Can I just call you Chuck? All right, Chuck. And then like, yo. Mind you, okay, I don't remember if it was in this episode or if it was in the last episode I just watched. The line, right, where she's reading a book, right? She's reading the book Fahrenheit 451. And I love the fact that she's like, well, maybe we could just watch the movie. And yo, Chuck responds by saying, or we could just burn this. I was like, oh, that's such a great joke.
That was a good joke.
I
It
feel
was
like
very
so many
funny.
people miss. I was like, I bet people missed out on what that meant. Like, God, that was so good.
Like, dude, because I'm sure you and I read that book in high school because it was required reading.
Yeah.
Is that even still required reading now? I don't know.
Actually, you know what's crazy, man? Is I heard there was the latest ban. It was one of the banned books. Like,
Really?
it's a banned book. Yeah, which is weird because that's what
Really?
the book is
That's what
about.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting development. But yeah, man. Yeah, that was a great joke. I love that
Such a
joke.
great joke. I was like, yo, that just went so underrated.
It was.
I love the fact that, oh, you know what? Actually, so it was in a scene with Icicle. Spoiler for those who haven't seen episode 3 yet. But this is a key one too. He killed the senator. Icicle killed the senator. But what's even crazier is like, so
ISA members.
say again.
His fellow ISA members.
Right. I was telling so Kira has watched the show with me, and like I've had to explain like little details to her too. And she didn't realize like the family was so behind Icicle, like so hard. Like he's murdering people and they're just like, do what you do. I was like, yo, cold blooded.
Yeah, that family is messed up.
Well, yeah, I mean they just wiped out the entire family because even like the mom of the senator's wife was trying to leave town, and like at the end you saw Stripe found the car and it was just smashed in. I was like, dude,
Yep.
not a good look.
Which implies that they sent Grundy after her. Just
Right.
like he went after Rex and his wife.
Right, which we found out when Beth finally got the goggles.
Yeah.
And then we found out that Grundy actually killed Rick's parents.
Yeah.
We found out that Rick's last name was changed.
Yep.
It was great. And then we found out that Rick still has his Mustang, which I was like, yo, it was such a pretty car too. God, it was so beautiful looking.
Right?
I'm gonna put that out there.
Oh yeah. No, I think so I don't know if you remember, but I used to have a Mustang. And so that car has a very special place in my heart. So when I saw that car on the show, I was like, yo, I used to drive one of those. So,
it was so I was like,
me too.
I was like, yo, and then we found out that the uncle is actually really kind of his stepdad, we'll call it, I guess, adopted dad. He's a fucked up man.
Not a good dude.
No, sold his carburetor like that he got, and then like right, and then Luke brings him, Stripe brings him a new one. Then we find out that the uncle took over that one too, or took that one too. God knows what happened to it. I hope they didn't get rid of it because.
Didn't we see he was driving the car in last week's episode?
Oh
this
yeah.
Week's episode?
Yeah.
So he must have it running.
Yeah. So it was definitely a lot of fun watching like those episodes. We got into Our Man. We found Our Man, which was Rick. I love that he busted up that truck, and everybody's trying to figure out what happened to the truck, but Stripe knew exactly who it was.
Knew exactly what was going on there.
He just like grabbed him, like, nah, bro.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, man. Like, it's weird, and I love this story part, right, where Rick, he doesn't understand the formulas, right, because he's not as intelligent as his dad. But I feel like, which tells you like a lot of the powers, even though they're like genetically been transferred, right? Like clearly, the intelligence part for like Rick isn't there yet. I mean, I'm sure like it may happen for him, but I really do love that that tie to the plot.
Yeah, for sure. I also really like because I like what they're doing with the villains on the show because like, I talked about it back when I was just doing my solo reviews on the show where I was like, it was so weird to me that like Icicle is the leader of the ISA because it's like you have like a literal hulking zombie and you have like a telepath and whatnot, but like the ice guy is the leader. That doesn't really. But then you find out why, because he's a horrible person who's willing to do things that the rest of them aren't. So it's like, oh yeah, that makes more sense. And again, I really love Neil Jackson as Icicle because he really turns up like the creep in the menace. So
yeah,
good job there. But also I like we've mentioned, they have Solomon Grundy on this show, and he, from what we've seen, he looks like Solomon Grundy, So that's pretty cool. I like that they have Sportsmaster and Tigress And they did tease us with Artemis, their daughter, who, Cliff, I don't know if you know who Artemis is, but she actually becomes a hero. She's, depending on which version you go with, she's Green Arrow's protege. So maybe we'll get a Green Arrow on the show, maybe not. But yeah, so I'm hoping, and like I said, they've been setting her up in the small increments that we've seen her in. So I hope we get that payoff soon.
Oh my God, when they killed the coach, I was so pissed.
Right.
Yo.
Like, taking this a bit too serious. Okay.
Benched the shit out. Well, benched the daughter, and they benched the shit out of him. Hit him in the face with an aluminum bat. Like, ugh.
He is definitely not coming back for the next home game. So
I was gonna say he's not even returning for season 2.
No, definitely not. But yeah. So I really liked that episode with Sportsmaster and Tigers when you got to see them suit up and go back into action. Because I know, Cliff, I know you were completely oblivious that Crusher was Sportsmaster, but you know, again, me being the DC nerd that I am, the moment I saw him introduce himself to Pat, he's like, "I'm Larry Kroc, but you call me Crusher." I was like, "Dude, that's Sportsmaster." So, so I knew that was gonna happen. But just like finally seeing them, you know, suited up and fighting against our new team of heroes, that was I think that this is probably my favorite episode so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of my favorite things that came right off of it is like right at the end when Stargirl and Stripe like she was like, they weren't even listening to me, right? They weren't listening to you. No, it's like they just want to do their own thing. Really? How was that? He's like, it was terrible. I had a plan. You had a plan, and things didn't go according to plan. Yeah, man, it's weird. They didn't listen to it. And she's like, no. I see what you did
And
there.
then she finally got it, yeah. And he's just like,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, man, I love that. I love that. That was great.
Am I okay? Am I being weird? Is that Lantern? That's the Lantern, right?
Yeah, it's Green Lantern.
That was just like I was like, I don't want to be stupid, and I know it's gonna come off stupid.
But it's Alan Scott's Green Lantern, who is the original Golden Age Green Lantern. He has nothing to do with the Green Lantern Corps, so it's a completely different type of lantern. But yes, it's a Green Lantern.
Okay. Because I was like, yo, I know it's gonna sound dumb, but I'm just gonna ask. It's like,
Oh, totally. Because yeah, people were asking me about that too, and I was like, no, yeah, that's great. But I always had to like, it's not the Green Lantern you're thinking of though. So
yeah.
So
we're gonna have to worry about the Lantern Corps showing up and.
Yeah. I actually have some theories on that, but I don't know if you want to get into that right now. But I actually have theories about a lot of who might show up and who might not show up. So. Screw it. I'll just get into it right now.
Well, because I asked the question to you before about Flash.
You did. Yeah. Like, okay, I'll talk about Flash real quick because you had asked me, because you said, so is that the same Flash that died in Crisis? And I was like, no, this is a different Flash altogether. That was Barry Allen Flash. The Flash here on Stargirl is Jay Garrick, which is not the same Jay Garrick that's on The Flash, played by John Wesley Shipp. I can see how this gets confusing. Believe me.
Thank you. Thank you.
This Flash is neither of those versions. It is Jay Garrick, who, just like Alan Scott's Green Lantern, Jay Garrick was the original Golden Age Flash. But I have a theory as to how we get a new Flash. So in the comic books, Bart Allen, who is Barry Allen's grandson from the future, traveled back in time to prevent Barry Allen's death, which he did, but then he was stuck here in the present. He couldn't go back to the future. Back to the Future.
I know, I was going to laugh. Should have bought a DeLorean and gone 88 miles an hour.
Exactly. But so he was stuck here, and I can't remember the exact circumstances, but for some reason he went to live with Jay and Joan. And so I was thinking, I was like, you know, if we meet a kid at this school named Bart, I guarantee you that's going to be our new Flash. And they can even like just tease him being from the future like they did on Smallville. And I know there's no way Bart's ever going to show up on the Flash because They already had Nora, which was Barry's daughter from the future, and that basically served the same purpose, and it would be redundant to have Bart show up now. So if they wanted to have him be on Stargirl, I'm totally cool with that. The other theory I have about the Green Lantern is Alan Scott had 2 children who became superheroes in their own right. The first of which was Obsidian, who I would love to see on this show. The second one that would tie in more with Green Lantern and his powers was his daughter Jade, who she inherited his power, like because of his use of the Green Lantern and all that. It got embedded in his genetics and passed on to his daughter, so she could wield those powers without the ring, without the lantern. And I think that's how you could get around that if she shows up and she has those powers. So we might see Obsidian, we might see Jade. It'd be cool if we got both. And then, like I said, like I would really love to see Bart Allen be the Flash on this show because he's one of my favorite characters, and I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves. So it'd be nice for him to show up over here. But those are my theories. Again, Cliff, I know most of this is just woo for you, but yeah, for now.
For now. No, I like it. I like the idea of, like, especially, and it's crazy, man, because you like explain things like so well as far as like the DC world goes. Like, it makes sense. Like, I would love to see like.
Thank you.
I would love to see Bart. Yeah, I would love to see like the playback. So yeah, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I would really like that. Yeah, but so Cliff, the season so far, how would you rate it based on how much you're enjoying it?
So if I went to go from like episode 1 to episode 6, right? Episode 1 for me was kind of like I don't know, like a 5 because I was just like meh, whatever. But as it progressed, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9.5, like, so this recent episode was like right there at the 9.5 mark. So I love the fight scene. I loved when Crusher was just like, I knew the last guy who wore that hourglass. He was a big dumb dude just like you. And he got into a fight and I was like, yo, he was pegging old dude with the baseballs. I was like, that's so rude.
It really was. Yeah. No, yeah, I really love the show. I think everybody knows that. So, no surprise here. I rate the show 10 out of 10, but I love it. I loved it from frame 1 to the most recent episode. For me, again. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say too. My favorite character so far in the whole series is Mike, the son, because he's just like he steals all the episodes without doing anything. For sure,
and that's the other thing I didn't even mention because. I think it was episode 4. Yeah. He mentions he has a friend, Jakeem, who he only mentioned in passing. Courtney has the Thunderbolt that was Johnny Thunder's Thunderbolt. In the comic books, the next person to possess the Thunderbolt is Jakeem Thunder. So I was like, oh, so Jakeem is Mike's friend. And you know what's going to happen. He's going to come over one day and be like messing around. Like, oh, I need a pen. He's going to take it and he's going to have the Thunderbolt now.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for that to happen. That's going to be cool. But yeah. Mike, I'm with you, man. Like, he steals the show with doing very little. So
right. The volcano.
Yeah, the volcano.
I have to eat. I have to get something like that, and I gotta make that myself.
You and your daughter should do that.
He took Pop-Tarts and just like stuck them to the volcano.
I was like, because I think even he said it after it went off. I was like, well, the good news is you can eat all that stuff. So cleans itself up. So yeah, and also the kid who plays Mike, I believe that could be Luke Wilson's son. You know what I mean? Like, there's enough of a resemblance there that I'm like, yeah, I buy that.
Yeah,
sure.
I agree.
Yeah. So yeah, I like it very much too. Yeah.
He's also got so Trey. He's got like he's got a lot of like Owen Wilson mannerisms without trying, and I'm like, yo, you freak me out, man. You're right. Like, when I think about it, I'm just like, I just want to be like, oh wow, like just one time, just to be like, yeah, I know where that comes from.
Just get him to do it once. I'm with you, man. I got to see it now too. But yeah, so I think we said it privately in conversation, but like the show really won you over, Cliff.
It did. It really did.
Like, I'm not into it, but you stuck with it, and now you're like, all right, I'm into this.
And there's like a lot of other parts that I'm like really curious about. Like I want to see the answers get told to me. Like, like Pat mentioned that it's just like in passing that the fiddler was Irish, and like we there's this janitor that has an Irish accent, and I was like, oh God, that's got to be him. But there's another person playing the fiddle and like trying to do stuff with it. So I'm just like, I'm very curious as to what's going on with all that.
It's funny because I noticed even in the pilot episode, they show you that janitor. Like they linger on him for a while. And I was pointing out to everybody, I was like, something's up with that janitor. I don't know what it is, but they keep showing him to us for a reason. And then of course, like you said, like you hear him speak finally and he has that accent. But it's funny you brought up the fiddler because when I saw her playing the fiddle, I was like, oh, that's the fiddler. Because there are multiple versions of that character. There is a version that is a man, and then there's a version that's a woman. So I was like, oh, they went with the whole legacy thing here. But like you're saying, like we don't know.
Right.
We're gonna wait for that payoff to find out what's actually going on there. But yeah, those are the things that for me as a hardcore deep cuts DC fan that really get me excited about these shows. So yeah, I love it. I love it so much. But yeah, so everybody out there who, if you're watching this, if you're listening to us, let us know. Are you watching Stargirl? I hope you are. Let us know if you're enjoying it, and yeah, let's engage. Let's have a conversation because I love talking to other people about this stuff. Cliff knows that.
Facts.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into some of our other TV shows because we still have a lot of TV to talk about. Do you want to do Harley Quinn because it is the season finale? You want to save that? All right, let's save it. Let's get into. We're gonna save Harley Quinn. Let's get into Doom Patrol because we have 3 episodes to talk about in season 2. Oh man, Cliff, let's talk about it. I'm so excited. Doom Patrol is back. I said this to you already. When I saw they dropped the first 3 episodes, I was like, I'm probably gonna like try and space these out. But that plan went right out the window immediately. I just watched all 3 episodes. And I loved it, man. I was just so caught up in everything, seeing all these characters again. I had so much fun. I cried a little bit. I laughed. And a lot of deep thoughts. But Cliff, how about you, man? How did you react to these first 3 episodes?
I'm gonna be honest, I forgot that they got shrunk at the end. So when I saw them like waking up right off the jump, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's kind of like normal. And like, I love the fact that Dorothy was kind of like giving a recap of everything that happened without like going into detail about everything. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, because they show like Cliff was like working on his car, and just for context, right, for you guys, episode 1 is called Fun Size Patrol, right, and we'll talk about why. But then like. They talk about Jane, how she doesn't do anything. They talk about Rita, how she's trying to control powers. They talk about Cyborg and how he's just like he's a real life superhero. And like we kind of learn all these cool little things, right? And it's just so much fun because you're like, oh yeah, I forgot. There's some fucked up things in it. Cliff killed 28 rats.
Yeah.
It's like and they say it's fucked up because like he just walks out with a cheese ball and he's just like, hey, do you want to come get it? And he just knocks one out. Like
my favorite part was later in the episode. I know I'm jumping ahead, but when he comes back and he's wearing the rat fur, like that image, that just seeing him come back like that, I laughed so hard. I was like, oh, it sucks for that rat, but oh man, it was good times.
That poor rat didn't see it coming, man. That was messed up. What I did like too was right afterwards, right? We saw Rita was actually starting to be able to control her powers. She was like really wanting to become a superhero, so it definitely was really fun to see her like try to practice like stretching out and reaching. I love the fact that Cyborg was like, no, I'm just trying to temper expectations because you can't do it. And then she got mad and she like reached out further. I was like, let's go, Rita, you got this. I love Vic is still like kind of struggling with his past, and I love the fact that he, was like, I gotta figure out what we can do. What really caught me off guard was Niles, man. Like I didn't realize Niles and his pendant. I forgot that he like had it.
Yeah.
And that's how he's able to. And spoiler for those who don't know, that's how he's able to live so long. He has a pendant that actually stretches out his longevity, right?
Yeah.
But what we ended up finding out is that in order to bring everybody back from being from fun size to larger, back to regular size, he had to sacrifice it. So he gave it away, and then eventually they all got turned back to being regular size.
Willoughby, who was in season 1, and like that's I want to mention that real quick because these first 3 episodes did something that normally I don't like, but because I enjoyed season 1 so much, I was like, this is cool. Where they kind of did the greatest hits from season 1, like they brought Willoughby back. We saw a lot of Danny, you know, whether in flashbacks or in the we saw what was left of Danny. And so, like, yeah, it was I liked it. I liked that they did that. So.
Yeah. Speaking of, you know, we saw Larry. Obviously, Larry's normal size. But then he was like cooking, and you just hit a big boom. He's just like looked up, like, what happened? And he runs upstairs, and there's everybody in normal size. And then, that's kind of how the episode ended, which was crazy.
Also, I loved Larry cooking for everybody, like his little tiny pancakes that he made for everybody.
And in fact, and you know, then he burned, and like he had 5 of them, like 6 of them. He burned 5 of them.
Yeah.
And like how he was cursing out, he's like, shit.
Yeah. But I like that whole thing with Larry, like, because it's like, oh, he's trying to take care of everybody. That's nice.
Yeah, it was definitely. I loved and Larry is low key, like it's funny to see like his story, especially we'll get into talking about it with some of the other episodes, but his story really is like intriguing, man. We talked about it a little bit, but I'm very intrigued with what's going on with him.
Me too. That was probably my favorite part of these 3 episodes. But yeah, we'll get into that a little bit more later. But yeah, I really enjoy what they're doing with Larry so far. And like you were saying, Rita giving her, like, she clearly wants to master her abilities, which is nice, because I think I said this to you already, but it was, of all the characters in season 1, I feel like Rita had the least amount of growth. I mean, we learned a lot about her and her past, but by the end of season 1, she didn't really grow that much as a person. You know, she didn't really develop all that much. And so giving her this desire to want to master her abilities and whatnot is a nice way of saying, like, okay, you've got to learn to control your body and your powers, and it'll be a nice thing for her to do moving forward. So that's cool.
You know what though? I agree, but I disagree, right? And and for the purpose of like season 1, like Rita, like obviously we saw like she was a very shallow person in the very beginning of the episode, but as like we moved through the season 1, we understood like she was like atoning like for her past sins and stuff like that, and she was growing as a person, and she actually had like feelings to show like she cared about like the people on the team, and she low-key was trying to like help out Jane for like the longest time. She was reaching out to Cliff, so she was like, she understood like the terrible things that she had done in her past, and you could see like as a person, like as the season grew, even to like Ezekiel Patrol, like we saw like she was really like, I'm here to help you guys and try to do the best, and to see like the continued growth from that. I mean, I agree. Like in this episode, we saw like.
You're absolutely right, Cliff. That's my bad.
And then you know, and then especially like through these next episodes, we've seen like she like, I feel like it was like this kind of growth, right? Like she was going from like a 1 to like a 7, and now we're like from like a 7 to like a 13, because she just like keeps making the bigger strides to like better herself. So I definitely I like the way that she's going.
Absolutely right. I agree with you, and that's what I was trying to say. You nailed it. I think I just misworded some stuff, but yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Because on the back end, saw on the back end with Jane, I do. Okay, so let me caveat this. I do love the journey that Jane is going on right now, but on Jane's story, we saw her at that one level, right, where she was just kind of starting to get things, and by the end of the season, she was like closer to like a 6, 7, maybe even like an 8 as far as like her path. But like in this season, it seems like she took steps back, and obviously it's because we're going to build her back up, but she took it to a 5 because we found out that the reason why she's not Dorothy mentions it in episode 1. We see that, you know, she doesn't do much of anything, and what we found out was that she was doing drugs.
Yeah.
And that she's like trying to fight everybody inside of her mind.
Suppress the underground, which is, I did not see that coming, but at the same time, it does make sense for her.
Yeah, and then in every episode, and just caveat this, in all 3 episodes, we kept hearing the word "time for a change."
Yes.
And so, and even in episode 2, which we're talking about right now, my favorite character returning, Silver Tongue.
Silver Tongue, I think that is both of our favorite character. So,
but she does make it. She makes a brief appearance. She does say the word "time for a change," and like it shows up on a mirror, and like I was like, God, I'm so hyped seeing her.
We need Silver Tongue. Hashtag more Silver Tongue.
More Silver Tongue. But you know, what we did find out too is that the next episode, right? So we can kind of just like jump into it, where we talk about Time Patrol.
Yeah.
And yes, if you're wondering, it's exactly what it means. We find out that there's a space mineral that actually controls time.
Continuinium. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
Continuinium.
Even though everybody else. And everybody, it was so great too, is that Niall said it and everybody else slaughtered it in the episode, just like how because even like Jane in the episode, like she was like, yeah, sure, so is this continuum gonna work? Like she just didn't want to even try.
Someone literally just called it continuum.
Yeah. Like
I was like, that's not what it's called at all, but okay.
Even Cliff like slaughtered it too. I was laughing so hard.
Yeah.
Which, man, like Brandon Fraser again, just amazing. You can't say enough about him.
No, you know it's funny because I was watching the show before season 2 dropped. I started rewatching season 1 again, and I had told some. I was like, hey, you should watch this with me. It's really good. You'll like it. And they were like, okay. So we were watching it, and I was like, Brandon Fraser, man. And again, just season 1, I was like, he's so good. He's so good. Like, if there was anybody from like the 90s who deserved to come back, it's definitely him. And I know we already said this before when we talked about season 1, but like season 2, just in case you forgot, it's like, no, man, this guy's legit. Like he can deliver a performance, because you do get to see Cliff pre-Robot Man again in a flashback, and you know he kills it with his performance there, and then with his voice performance, he manages to do something that great voice performers do, which is he gets all this emotion across just using his voice, and that's not an easy thing to do, people. So yeah, I really give it up to Brendan Fraser, man. He's so good. He's so good on this show.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
he's good in general, but he's great on this show. So
I loved how I love like his journey. I know we're only talking about season 2, but he's definitely like, look, nobody wants to help. Okay, so the idea is that because of the continuum that's available, nobody wants to help Niles because they all understand. So in case you guys forgot too, we found out in Ezekiel Patrol, right, which was the season finale, that Niles was the reason why everybody was as fucked up as they are. So nobody has forgiven Niles for it. So everybody's kind of giving him the cold shoulder, and especially with Dorothy too, which is kind of fucked up because she had nothing to do with it. Yeah. But what we ended up finding out is that everybody's not wanting to help. They're just kind of reluctant to do it. They're just kind of like, fuck them. But they have to go meet a certain somebody in a certain place.
Yes.
My favorite.
Let's talk about it.
My favorite part was when they were like, "What were you guys doing exactly in 1980?" Like they gave like the date, and she was like, "I was here, I was willing." And then like Cliff was like, "I was
asleep," and Rita's like, "I was here watching whatever."
Yeah.
Cliff was like, I forgot what he said originally, but you knew it was bull.
He's like, I was winning. He was like, I was racing in Talladega to win the pole position, which eventually I ended up winning that race that night. Celebrated with some friends and then went home. And everybody was just like,
and nothing happened.
And nothing happened. And I was like, one of you guys is lying. And
everybody looked.
Everybody looked at Cliff because they knew exactly who was lying. He's like, all right, I was probably out, I was at Talladega. I was probably out boning some chick randomly in a closet, and all of a sudden, boom, they all got teleported.
Opens up. Oh, that was great. So let's talk about it, man. We were introduced to Dr. Time, who is from the comic books, and if you're familiar with the comic book Dr. Time, he looks exactly the same on this show. So like they did not change his appearance at all. And props to them, props to this show for doing that. Like that's the one thing, well, that's one of the many things I love about this show is they never get shy or they're never ashamed or afraid to do straight up just the comic book stuff here. And especially with a character like Dr. Time where his head is a clock. Like they did that on this show. And it looked exactly like he looks in the comic books. And like we didn't even mention Cliff, we didn't even mention the Candlemaker, who we saw very briefly, and again looks just like he did in the comic books, and he was terrifying. But yeah, so Dr. Time, man, that whole thing was. I love the character because he's just like, with his abilities, you'd think he'd be messing around with time and like, you know, manipulating events in his favor. But he's like, no, I just want to chill out in the 1970s because that was when humanity peaked. He's like, I just got to keep this party going, you know. And it's like, that's what you're doing with unlimited power. All right.
Right. Yeah, it was wild to see. It was wild to see him just like, yeah, no, I just want to have fun. Let's just roller skate all day.
We're just roller skating all day, all the same song over and over and over again. Because for him, that was when life was perfect, I guess. So that was funny. So yeah, Dr. Time. Oh, man, what happened to him was crazy. I also loved, like, I'm getting ahead of myself, but I liked how when Rita moved the hands on his face and that moved time back, it was like,
right.
Yeah, that's how that's supposed to work.
Exactly. I was quite, and then like, yo, like, he said, what did he say to Rita? Was it like, your mother was right and that she should never have had you?
Yeah, that was messed up.
And it fucked her up hardcore.
I'm not gonna lie, it messed me up hardcore too.
Yeah, I was thrown off, man.
Like, that's harsh, bro. Also, I liked that because Jane and Cliff, they both like tried to grab his brain because it had the continuinium in it, and they both had visions that Jane's we explored more in the next episode, but Cliff's he saw the future because it was an older Niles, like his hair was grayer, and it was him taking Cliff apart. And I remember at the time being like, what does this mean? But, and again, I'm getting ahead of myself because at the end of the third episode, Pain Patrol, right, Cliff? Is that the name of the episode?
Pain Patrol, yep.
Yeah. At the end of that episode, you see Niles begin to draw up plans for Robot Man 2.0. And it's like, oh, that's what that was. But Cliff just doesn't know how to interpret that. Like, he's building him a new body. And I remember, like, this happened in the comic books. Like, I'm not, like, a huge Doom Patrol expert, but I did read a couple of Doom Patrol comic books. And, like, he did get an upgraded body for a brief moment. And, like, believe me, it only lasted, like, you know, a minute. But it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. And if that's what they're doing, and especially since it seems like they have some of that HBO Max money so they can afford to upgrade Robot Man this season, that'd be pretty cool to see. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Right.
What about you?
No, I'm definitely agree, man. I definitely think that seeing Cliff get his upgrades, I'm definitely hyped about. I love the vision, too, that he was going through. And, like, he's just, like, freaked out. And he was just like, what does this all mean? Like, am I being dismantled? Like,
yeah.
So, yeah, man, I'm definitely, with Time Patrol, I loved the sequence too. We didn't even talk about it, man, but we got to talk about Larry. Larry had an incredible journey because what we found out was, well, two things, right?
Yes.
Which we really have to talk about. One, he learned how to control himself outside of spirit when the spirit's with him. You know, he says the word spirit release and the entity comes out, and then like it touched him in the forehead, and we found out that his youngest son was passing away. Well, he committed suicide.
Yeah.
So that was sad. And so there was a funeral for the youngest son, and he showed up, and sure enough, his oldest son recognized his voice like instantly,
Yeah.
which really broke my heart. So he was like, because the first thing he said, always talk about his youngest son. He's like, he knew you were still alive. He's
Yeah.
like, he kept saying it. I just didn't believe him. And then we found out that, they invited him to a party. I don't remember. He didn't show up to the party. He ended up leaving,
He did,
right?
but well, he showed up, I think, with the intention of going, but then he
backed out.
moved off to the barn, and
Yeah.
remember he found all his son's like sort of I don't want to say conspiracy board, but kind of like
I think a lot
that.
of research.
Yeah. He even had part of the plane that he was in that he crashed, which was crazy. So yeah. The whole thing with Larry and his sons was really heartbreaking, but it was touching. I remember the moment when he came downstairs and he was in his suit and tie, and I was like, I know what he's doing now. I know what he's going to do this episode. And by the way, he pulled off that suit even with the bandages. Like he
looked good.
in that suit. Yeah.
You know what else was crazy though, man, is that this is the second time where we've kind of fallen in love with Larry like all over again. Because like in season 1 with his past lover, and then in season 2 now with his son, like it's like, man, like it's heartbreaking, but at least it's like he's trying to atone and try to like figure out what to do that's gonna be best. It's really kind of crazy to see, but I'm like, oh man, like I love this, but it's sad too in the same token.
Yeah, like for me, it's because like in season 1, it was just nice, to when he reconnected with, I forget his name, I'm so sorry, but and then here in season 2, like he tried to reconnect with his son. Anytime Larry takes those steps towards reconnecting with people from his past who he may have hurt, that always feels satisfying to me, because it's like, I don't know, man. It's just Larry, he's had the most interesting journey, for me anyways, where, in season 1, he was sort of the cowardly person who always ran away from conflict.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it is, because now he's trying to reach out, and he, and maybe he's late, but he's at least trying to make up for certain mistakes that he made in the past. And I think that's what, for me anyways, makes this whole thing worth it for Larry. So.
Yeah, seeing like his story and then like Vic's story, which we haven't really touched on. Vic ends up meeting Ronnie.
I have some things to say about that.
Obviously Vic has like his old thing that he's going through. He's still trying to atone for like all of his mistakes. He's having this traumatic dreams and stuff he can't get over. But then we end up meeting Ronnie, who actually he met at kind of like a trauma like therapy session, like a group session for people with PTSD. But nobody wanted to talk around him because because he's cyborg, right? So he doesn't power down. Nobody wanted to talk in front of him because obviously he could be recording stuff. Right. So like he eventually
defeats the purpose of this whole thing.
Right. So he makes himself vulnerable. He turns off his cybernetic side, and then he starts to share lessons, and he starts to get more involved with Ronnie. One of my favorite things from this too was that there was a kid trying to rob Ronnie with a purse, and Cyborg called the police. And Ronnie was like, "Why are you calling the police? Like, just let this kid go." And he's like, "No." He's like, he tried to mug you. Like, this is a thing. And he's like, according to his criminal record, this is his third chance. And she's like, "Fine, let it be his third chance, but maybe this is the moment where he realizes like I need to change my life." And then, then we saw a side of Cyborg that doesn't usually show up because Cyborg is all about like, no, we got the law. This is the law. Blah blah blah. We saw him let him go. And he was like, "Fine, just go."
Yeah.
So, I'm sure nothing possibly wrong could ever come up off that.
Well, it was strange when I was watching, and I know they filmed these episodes last year, but that whole thing kind of felt like, I don't know, like, given the state of the world we're in right now, it felt like, oh man, there's no way they could have predicted this. And also, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here again, but that's what I do. Just sort of staying on that same train of thought, like when Cliff, when he's trying to reconnect with his daughter, and the cops get called on him, I was like, like I get that this is funny, but it's like I don't know if this is probably the right time to make this kind of joke here. But not to say that I didn't enjoy it and laugh at it, but it was just like I don't know. But again, like I understand they filmed these months ago, if not a year ago, so it was like
Right.
I forgive it. It's fine. But yeah, no. I really enjoyed this Vic's storyline in these episodes with Ronnie, and this is what I wanted to talk about because Ronnie Evers in the comic books was a character Ron Evers, and spoiler alert, this might be potential spoilers for where this goes on the show. Ron Evers became an evil version of Cyborg, so I don't know if they're setting that up here. But also I think it was in the New 52 or maybe it was Rebirth, Cyborg had a girlfriend who became a female cyborg called Variant. So I don't know if they're maybe mashing those two stories together here or what, but we'll see. We'll see where that goes. Because I don't know if you saw the most recent trailer before these episodes dropped, but it opens with a shot of Ronnie like on a table, and Vic and he's like, "Are you ready?" And she says, "Booyah." And he looks at her kind of excited. And I was like, oh, is she going to get cybernetic upgrades? Because, like I said, the character on the show seems to be based on two different characters from the comics who did get cybernetic upgrades. But which way they go on the show, we'll have to see.
Right.
But I'm really enjoying what they're doing so far.
Yeah.
I like the way she's written. I like the interactions between her and Vic. And I just, for the most part, I find it really sweet. But then there's sort of those undertones, like, again, because me knowing certain things about the comics where I'm like, I don't know if I should be finding this sweet or not, at least not yet anyways. So, so yeah, but I've been enjoying it so far. I like seeing Vic. I like seeing him make himself vulnerable and, sort of accepting that, maybe it's not his place to try and make people adhere to what he believes in all the time.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked that. I really liked it.
Yeah, and then I mean, what we ended up seeing too, what we didn't touch on, right, with Larry is Larry sees a butterfly, and which the butterfly, then there's a one butterfly, and then there's like a million butterflies. They all circle over Larry, and then it's like a ball of butterflies, and then the episode ends. And
that was such a great way to be like, oh, this is such a beautiful visual, and then it immediately turns horrifying.
The facts. Which then leads us into episode 3, Pain Patrol. So with Pain Patrol, we open up with a girl kind of like walking through. This is back in like the 1700s. Is what they try to make it appear. 1800s.
Yeah.
We can go like early 1900s.
Victorian era.
Yeah,
it's spoiler alert. It's supposed to be Jack the Ripper. So
right. So, so from where we are is we see this girl. She's talking to a cop. The cop says it's not safe for you to be here. The girl says okay. She goes to walk away, and then we see this. We'll call it what it is. We see this girl. She looks like a prostitute, and we say that because it's late night, and this woman is it is what it is. So anyway,
it's supposed to be Jack the Ripper. He mentioned there's a Ripper about, so you should get off the street. And famously Jack the Ripper targeted prostitutes. So
right. So we're just calling the story the way it is. So anyway, we have a female. She gets dropped. She has like a bunch of slashes to her, a bunch of cuts, and she's just crying out for help. And she's reaching out for the girl's hand, and then we see Red Jack appear. And so, and so. So he's just kind of laughing along during those questions. There's big dialogues going on, and it ends up with Red Jack just stabbing one of his knives through this unfortunate woman, and she passes away.
Very unfortunate. Yeah.
But was that in the same scene where we?
It's worth noting that the little boy who witnessed all this was Niles Calder, the chief.
Right.
So that was.
So I think we kind of glazed over something, and I really want to go back and touch on it. So from the very first episode that we had, right, with I'm sorry, I forgot the name again, Fun Size Patrol. We got introduced into Dorothy in the very beginning. We didn't talk about this. So Dorothy, she was in a carnival. And in which where we met. I forget what's her first thing that she came up with. The big wolf looking.
I forget. What
So
the thing. Actually, did that one have a name? I don't think we
I don't.
because
I
we
don't
saw
think
it in
so.
season one. We saw it in
Yeah.
season one because her mother sort of controlled it in season one, and now it's implied that Dorothy has control over it.
But what
I
we
don't
did.
think we ever got a name for it.
Yeah, so what we can say is we'll call it the Beast, just for the
Yeah.
instance of this show.
Sure.
So anyway, so Dorothy, we find out that she's been introduced as Eight-Face Girl, right? Because of just the way that she looks. So, and if you saw the poster from season 2 for Doom Patrol, you know what we're
Right.
referencing now. So anyway, so we open up and we see that they see her. Somebody makes some stupid joke, like, God, that was such a
That was
fucking
such a messed up thing to say. Yeah.
it's fucking dumb. So anyway, they close it back down, they turn it dark, and then she tries to talk to the Beast and say, hey, like, just, do what they say, it'll be the last time. She has tears in her eyes, you can see she's very remorseful. And then the Beast appears, right? And so they're like, make the Beast twirl. The Beast notices somebody in the crowd, and then like the ringmaster says,
that's why I bring it up, because like, remember, we saw this thing in season one.
yeah.
And that's why it was like, oh yeah, that's why it attacked who it attacked.
Yeah.
Yeah. But go ahead.
So it attacks the ringmaster, and the ringmaster says, take hold of your Beast. She's freaking out, so the Beast starts beating up the ringmaster. They start beating up the Beast. The Beast starts falling down, and then we find out that you said Candle, right?
Candlemaker.
Candlemaker.
Yeah.
Then Candlemaker appears, right, which is another voice.
Talk about how that image of the candle appearing in her hand, it's such a simple shot, but like for some reason, I don't know what it was about it, but that like freaked me out.
It was I think it was
was
the dialogue behind it, and because like there was like two parts of it that really freaked me out, and I'll be honest, right? One was the dialogue. Two, it was the fact that Dorothy, when she had the candle, it made in her hand. You heard her. She was like, "Ow!" and then the candle gets made.
Yeah.
And which Candlemaker then tells her, make wish, and so she makes a wish that she would be saved as well as the Beast. And Candlemaker appears, kills everybody,
except for one person.
Except for one. Well, and that's the thing, right? So kills everybody but one person. We see Dorothy kind of get released. But in the second episode, we pick up on where this left off, right? So Candlemaker appears, he kills everybody, but Niles is still there, which is the very big part.
I thought Niles was there, and that's what triggered the Beast, because the Beast saw him in the audience, and then the ringmaster like whipped him, and that's what set him off and everything. And then so when Dorothy made the wish, and then the Candlemaker came in, cleared house. I don't know if it looked like he was gonna kill Niles, or if he was just like, or if maybe he knew that Niles would take Dorothy. I don't know. But it was
almost like Candlemaker knew that was Niles, like almost because like maybe it was like a genetic thing, like it got passed down, and then he recognized him just like the Beast did, and was just like, you can live, because obviously like he wasn't laughing at the Beast. He like had remorse. The Beast recognized him, and maybe it was something like the Beast was like, hey, like, please, like maybe they're telepathically connected. I don't know. I'm just making assumptions. But like Candlemaker know, like, hey, don't hurt that guy. You can kill everybody else. Don't hurt that guy.
Just not him.
Yep. Which we found out. And so moving forward into the episodes, we find out that Niles actually met Danny in like early 1900s. He was an old street, to say the least. But Danny
we know and love today. So.
Right. So Danny was very welcoming, and he took in Dorothy for, we found out, 90 years before they ended up releasing her, or finding her to release her. So moving forward, and I bring it up into this episode, we find out that there's actually multiple personalities inside of Dorothy, just like in Jane. There's 4 big ones. We have the Beast, we have Candlemaker, we have the giant tarantula, which I'm not quite sure what their name is.
Yeah, sure. Oh, his name, Herschel, and then Darling was the one with the face.
Yeah. So, and to give you context on who Darling is like a robot-looking kind of like old school 1950s robot. She looked like Jane from the Jetsons, if you guys get that reference. But then she I feel like that's so weird to have to say that. But she has light bulbs for eyes.
Pretty accurate. Now that I think about it, like, yeah, that's a pretty good description for anybody who hasn't seen the show.
But she's very 1950-ish robot, which is really cool to see, and very helpful at that. Too.
Yeah,
very helpful.
Yeah.
So as we move into the episode, we see Dorothy's journey. So we bring it up to speed you up. We bring it up for Pain Patrol because there's a lot of stuff that happens in Pain Patrol, right? So obviously, like we said, Red Jack sends a letter to Niles and gives him like this kind of an invitation in which now Niles is asking for help. But in this episode, Larry has been captured. We know that because of what happened on Type Patrol. Rita is still available, but Cliff and Jane want to go on their own journey.
And
they do.
Can I say real quick? I really liked that they did this with Cliff in this episode because of all the plot threads from season 1, I felt like that was the one that didn't get any like proper resolution.
Yeah.
The plot him and his daughter Clara, and I was wondering if we were going to get that, and we did. I wasn't expecting it this early, but we did, and I appreciate it. And I feel like there's still room to, because we still haven't gotten proper resolution on that. So I'm excited to see if and when we do, because yeah, I just like Larry reconnecting with people from his past. I think Cliff needs to reconnect with his daughter, whether it's for him or for her or for the both of them. I feel the sooner they can both be at peace with what happened to the both of them, like the better off the both of them are going to be moving forward.
Right. Yeah, and so moving forward, Cliff and Jane take off their journey. Rita and Niles go on their journey to find Larry, and Dorothy is just left at the house alone, which, to be fair, not very smart because she's 9.
Not very smart at all. Before I forget, can I give a shout out to Abigail Shapiro, who plays Dorothy? Because such a young woman, but she did something that I've seen very few adult actors can do, which is she delivered such a powerful performance through all of those prosthetics. You know what I mean? And like, she did really well. So bravo to you. Like, I'm really impressed with her. So,
love it.
Yeah.
So as we jump into journey, right? And I don't want to. I guess it's weird because we're just like literally. By the way, I know you guys. We've said it with spoiler to everything.
Yeah. Spoilers.
So what we ended up seeing was as Jane and Cliff went to go see Cliff's daughter, he's trying to reconnect. Rita and Niles then go to find Larry in Red Payne's lair. Well, his home, his mansion. Actually, it was a beautiful looking place. And it was really well done.
Speaking of, I got to give a shout out to whether it's the costume designer, makeup designer, whoever it is who's responsible for this, but like Red Jack looks almost exactly like he does in the comic books, and I love that kind of stuff. I said it in regard to Dr. Time, but I'm going to say it again for Red Jack because bravo, man. He has a cool look, so I was glad that they didn't mess with it too much. So, but yeah, go ahead, play.
So as we find out, like, Red Jack is a fucked up person, like super fucked up person, and does a lot of fucked up things.
Lightly.
Yeah. So one thing he did, he pulled the bandages off of off of Larry, which then released the radiation and was just killing people. There's like 5 people that were just wrapped up.
That was rough.
It was brutal.
Yeah.
Another thing that we found out too is
I like that we got to flash back to Larry first arriving at Doom Manor, and we got to see his introduction to Rita and sort of them them bonding with each other, because even in season 1 we saw that they were really good friends, and I like that we got to see the foundation of that in this episode.
Right.
That was
definitely. Anyway, as we get further into the episode, Rita is looking for Larry, and she eventually she finds him. Niles is going through all the painful process, and it's feeding Oh, he's not going through it. But anyway, he's giving like Red Jack is looking to get pain off of to feed off of Niles, in
Yep.
which Niles is just not giving into him,
You know, just feeding on your pain. So
Yep. and he wasn't. So eventually we find out that like I guess meanwhile like there's so many different stories, right, that were going on. The cops come to find Cliff, as you had mentioned, right? Cliff beats up the van. And like,
Yes.
I love the line from the cop where it's like, look, he's a robot and it's his van.
and so they just let him, you know, beat up the van.
Yep.
I don't know about you, Cliff, but I was watching that and I was like, yeah, but you're gonna damage the engine. So
We also find out that Jane, when she was on the trip, she passed out, and they actually locked her up to have an intervention with her, which was, yeah, all the people inside of her mind had an intervention with Jane. So she's battling that going on. Cliff's battling his own demons with like trying to reconnect with his daughter. Larry's still trying to atone for his past. Rita's trying to find Larry. You have Niles fighting off Red Jack from like giving him all the pain. And then Dorothy's playing hide and go seek at the house, in which
yeah, I think this is the part of the episode Cliff and I both audibly gasped at.
yo.
Go ahead.
So as Dorothy is looking for her friend,
just real quick. So we know like Danny the Street at present is a single brick. Like that's all that's left of him right now, or of them. So go ahead, Cliff.
So Danny is a single, like he mentions, Danny's a single brick, and she's playing hide and go seek with her friends, in which she's holding on to Danny, and they're like running. Oh no, I'm sorry, Danny was a lampshade. Danny was hiding as a lampshade, and she found Danny, and as she's holding Danny, Henry comes through the wall and scares her, and she drops Danny, and Danny breaks.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna lie, as soon as the brick broke, I was like, "Oh no, Danny!"
It happened, and I was like, I was like, no. I was freaking out so bad, man. Like, cause like you and I agreed, like Danny is one of our favorite characters. So like to see that happen was like I was like, no, they did not. No, they did. Please. I was freaking. I was like starting to bargain with anyone who was listening. You know.
Like, no, anyone but him. Danny didn't do anything wrong.
Didn't do anything wrong.
And like Dorothy obviously had a lot of remorse.
Dorothy felt bad.
Yeah. So
like,
once like that,
so her performance was so like, because I wanted to be angry at someone, but she was very like visually distraught over that.
Yeah.
I immediately started to feel bad for her. So.
And then, so as that happens, we get flashed over back to Red Jack, where Red Jack is like toying with, he makes butterfly wings pop out of Larry. He makes butterfly wings about to pop out of Rita. And I think he made them out of Niles.
Yeah, they came out of Niles for sure. Yeah, you're right. They actually come out of Rita. They almost did.
They almost did. Yeah. So Niles ended up stabbing Red Jack in the neck. And we're kind of like glossing over a lot of things. There were a lot of dialogue that kind of set all this up, which was really good.
Going on.
But so Jack ends up dying. We get sent back to the house. We find out that Jane, ultimately, her intervention led her to leaving the mansion or being locked away forever as a primary. Because we found out that we knew from the first season that there was a secondary primary, but we didn't really get to see her, right? But we did get introduced to a little bit more of her.
Yeah, we saw more
episodes
here.
Right.
Which, yeah, like this episode had a lot going on in it. Like thinking about it now, like I think almost everybody had their own plot in this episode.
Yeah, so essentially, and this is what I had mentioned to you before too, was that like we have like 6 different stories that are all playing out in one like thread storyline, but we have like 6 different characters taking their own different routes, and I like that. I like the fact that we're gonna get more of it coming in. It's gonna play into something.
For sure, yeah, and that's exactly what I loved about all of these episodes. Like it felt like everybody had something to do. No one was sort of left behind in the background.
Right.
Like everybody had something to do, and everything felt important, at least for the characters. So that was really cool. Yeah. I really love this show, man, and I'm really glad that it's back.
Yeah.
So.
And then, and just wrap it up, right, with Dorothy. Dorothy was crying. She was apologetic. She told she told Niles how sorry she was, and that she tried to say sorry, but nothing happened. And Niles even said, well, sometimes things need to happen. More things need to happen before like things will become healed again. And we saw Niles working on the brick with Danny. The brick. That's so rude. We saw him working on Danny to kind of try to. Yeah, he had that brick had a name. Okay. Anyway, so Danny, we saw him working on Danny to try to put them back together.
Yeah, back together. Although I have a theory on that about Danny. Again, I'm going to get into some comic book stuff here, but so in the comics, there was a time where Danny the Street became Danny. Was Danny a van? I think, yeah, it became Danny the Van. But when you open up the back, it opens up into a whole world. So there's Danny World inside the van. And I was like, if they do that on the show, I will be so ecstatic. But yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, go ahead, Cliff.
Yeah, and so like that's just kind of like how the episode wrapped up. But more importantly, what we saw was that Jane kind of refused to leave the mansion because she wanted to be around Niles. And what we saw was that Niles ended up getting locked up by all their personalities, and so now that's where Jane left off, and now we're kind of there. I mean, Cliff didn't get to say bye to his daughter. Larry and Rita kind of like reconnected in their own way, and then what we ended up seeing was
when they hugged it out at the end there. That was sweet.
Yeah, and I loved seeing all like there. It was great, and then the episode ends, and we're kind of left. Like that's it. Like. But so with the big cliffhanger being that Jane is locked up, and so we don't know like what's going on, and obviously moving on to the next episode, we'll see what happens. By the way, I just gotta say, all 3 of these episodes, 10 out of 10.
For sure, 10 out of 10. I love it. Doom Patrol is consistent. I think consistently the best show on the DC universe. Well, for me, it's either Doom Patrol or Harley Quinn. So
that's a great segue.
Yeah, it really is. So let's talk about it, Cliff. We got the season finale of Harley Quinn to talk about, and actually we've got I don't know. Do you want to back up a little bit because we missed a couple episodes here?
No, you guys can catch up on it. We gave all the other episodes 10 out of 10. This season finale. So if you guys, let's get. Actually, I want to caveat this. If you guys listen to how we talked about season 1 finale for Harley Quinn, we shit on it. Like, just dead ass.
No. The way you talked about season 1 finale, I liked the season 1 finale. Cliff didn't like it.
I did not. I will be honest. I did not like it. I just didn't like the.
I've got a few things to say about it, Cliff, in retrospect, because you talked about how you didn't like it because you thought that everything was wrapped up with a nice little bow. It really wasn't. I rewatched season 1. Like, season 1 ends pretty badly for everyone except Harley. Like, Gotham City is in ruins. The Joker got normalized. Batman is presumed dead. Like, the city is in chaos. The only one who's happy is Harley. Like, everyone else is screwed at the end of season 1.
Okay,
so I don't know, man. I don't know. But go ahead.
Yeah, but I shit all over season 1. Season 2, though, season finale, I had to say, I thoroughly enjoyed. Everything was great. I don't know if there's any bad things I could really say about the episode, to be honest.
Yeah, I really loved the finale. I thought it was, and again, like not to pat myself on the back, although I'm going to right now, but I did kind of call how the season was going to end with Harley and Ivy running off together. So, like I said, called it.
Louise.
Yeah, Thelma and Louise style.
You know what I thought was. Can we talk about, best opening sequence of any of the shows? I'm sorry, even more so than Doom Patrol, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love watching all the openings for Doom Patrol. But what we literally saw was the mayor was handing out keys to the city, to the Justice League. And mind you, Commissioner Gordon was there. And the last key that the mayor was going to give out, right, was he's like, I want to give it to this older gentleman with a mustache. Literally describing everything about Commissioner Gordon. And it turned out to be the mayor.
It's like, I am, of course, thinking about myself, the mayor. It's like, what?
He
Oh,
was
man.
so upset.
Yeah.
Yo, I loved how he went off on a news camera crew.
Yeah.
And
I think I've only ever seen this guy one other time.
Yo, how true is that though? Because we've seen him one other time in the whole entire series.
Yes.
I love the fact that he said that.
Yeah. Because he said it, and I was like, hey, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so
But
I
yeah,
was definitely.
I liked it. I liked. I just want to sort of talk about, because I think we both agreed we really loved this episode. But there's a moment. It's when Kite Man calls things off with Ivy, which is a pretty like heavy moment. But it ends with him when he opens up his kite and it says "just married" on it. I laughed so hard. I don't know why I laughed so hard at that image, but the moment he opened up the kite and it said "just married," I literally burst out laughing so hard I fell out of my seat. Like, that was so funny to me, man.
Well, okay, so, and honestly, like people, this is probably what part I'm going to nitpick, but it has
Uh-huh.
nothing to do with that scene, right? Because I loved it. I love that it said "just married." But what was the purpose of the car?
I know, right?
Like, we told the joke twice. Like, was he gonna fly off? Like, how were they gonna leave the wedding?
I thought about that too when I was watching the episode. I was like, wait, but he had the kite,
He had the
and
car.
they had, and
And
they had,
I
I don't know. That seems
That's-
like something Charlie Brown would have done. So
Yeah. Oh yeah. You're right.
his name is Charlie Brown. So, which still makes me laugh every time. But yeah, no, I thought this episode was great. What would you rate it out of 10, Cliff?
Oh, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah,
10
because actually no. Let me backtrack that. 11 out of 10 because we found out that Tim Burton, to
That's
pull us
right.
all back to from the beginning of the episode. Tim Burton was in this episode. From the beginning
was
of our episode, Tim Burton.
That was my favorite joke in the episode. I'm not gonna lie, because I actually saw images from the episode before the episode premiered, and I was like, and that was one of them. I was like, wait, Tim Burton's in this episode? I was so caught off guard.
And Clayface's song, like that's why 11 out of 10 because the introduction to Tim Burton, it was a perfect way to kind of end the series or the show, and then we got the big jokes still coming through. I love
Yeah.
King Shark in this one too. I love Frank.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Frank
Oh
the-
man,
locked up. Like you guys,
Yeah.
when you guys check it out, you'll see what we're talking about. It was hilarious. Great episode.
we got to see Frank. We got to call back to season 1. We saw him eat some people.
Yeah.
So, that was nice. I liked it. Yeah, Frank. Frank had some really great moments. We saw Tabitha again. She was with King Shark at the wedding, so that was nice. I thought that was a nice inclusion. They're still doing their whole facade marriage. That's fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I really love this show. I hope we get more of it. I hope we get a season 3. But at the same time, if this is the end of the series, I feel like they ended it pretty well.
Yeah,
So.
I agree. I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. So yeah, that's I think we covered all of it, right, Cliff? That's TV time for us today.
Yeah.
A lot of
10
TV.
episodes.
Yeah, a lot. So, all right. That's going to do it for us. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not watching any of these shows, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a DC Universe subscription and watch all of these shows. It's worth it.
100%.
Harley Quinn's worth it. Doom Patrol's worth it. I think Stargirl is worth it. Especially, Stargirl's way better on DC Universe than it is on CW. So, just to reiterate that point. But yeah, so, and if you are watching these shows, let us know what you think about these shows. Did you enjoy them as much as we did? Are you enjoying them as much as we are? Let us know. We like to have that conversation with you guys as well. But yeah, so that's going to do it for us. Cliff, hey, we did it. We did a video podcast episode. Proud of ourselves today. We finally did it. Finally. And hopefully we'll continue to do this moving forward. So keep an eye out for that. But Cliff, go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you online.
So, like always, you guys can find me on all your favorite social media platforms at CM_Miller85. So, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Reddit, PlayStation. Doesn't matter. You can find me there. And then you guys can follow my YouTube channel, The Adventures of Red Dog. It is on YouTube, as I mentioned. So go check that out as well. And then last but not least, follow my pro career. So if you guys get a chance, come and check me out there. Oh, and then as well as I guess I mentioned, you guys can find me here all the time on Nerds of the Roundtable. Maybe not all the time. You guys find me a lot of time here. And then most of the time. And then you guys can also find me on the 3 Count Podcast, which, you know, we have a bunch of wrestlers. We come on, we talk about all sorts of topics that are going on in the world. So yeah, definitely come through and check that out.
Yep, definitely do that, everybody. Go follow him, give him all the likes, show him all the love. He deserves it. And Swag, not with us yet again, although he was supposed to be, but stuff ended up coming out. However, Swag is going to be our editor on the video podcast, so do yourself a favor, check him out on YouTube, Mr. Swagtastic. We'll throw a logo up or a link somewhere. All of Cliff's socials will be on the screen as well. So yeah, go check him out, Mr. Swagtastic on YouTube. I posted on the Facebook page, he just cut his own trailer for Cyberpunk 2077, which was really cool. He told me sort of what his intention was with it, and I think he pulled it off really well. So I really liked it. So go check it out if you haven't. I am, of course, Antonio Padilla. You can find me on social media. It's either at Tron Pilgrim or at Tron Pilgrim 87. You can like Nerds of the Roundtable on Facebook, facebook.com/Real Nerds of the Roundtable. You can follow Nerds on Twitter at RealNerds_. You can always find us here, Nerds of the Roundtable, anchor.fm/nerds. We are also available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere podcasts are available. So yeah, that's going to do it for us this week, ladies and gentlemen. And join us next week, same nerd time, same nerd channel. Good night, folks.